Well, folks, you get something special today because it's been a little bit. Some changes going on in the industry, and Eric Eager has returned. Now, the Vice President of Research and Development for Sumer Sports, with Thomas Dimitrov, a name you guys might recognize, going in a different direction, doing some very cool things. Was just out of the Super Bowl at Media Week last week. The way that this game flow has to go, I feel, is important. Again, because of some of the things that we talked about up front. The first 15 that Andy always scripts, I feel like, is indicative of the preparation. And then it kind of feels like that's a handoff to what Patrick tries to do in terms of ad lib, of adjusting to what he's seeing. I feel tempo is important in this offense, and I think they need to use it a little bit more, maybe to start the second half, or maybe just in a certain personnel situation. But do you think, in general, if this game has more offensive snaps for the Chiefs, is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
Oh, it's an advantage. The league tried to get the Chiefs. The league had some success last year in stopping the Chiefs, in large part because the Chiefs still led the league in points per drive, but they had the fewest number of drives. If the Chiefs can get plays right, if they can get the football and lengthen the game, I think that they're winning this football game. I think the losing will be, and look, teams have had success. I mean, the Chiefs' last game against the Bengals, by the time they had their third drive, it was like middle of the second quarter, and they had only 6 points. Like, that was a win. And granted, the Bengals, I think, got a little lucky because Tony dropped the touchdown pass, and Wiley had the hold on the Pacheco touchdown. So it really should have been 14 or 10 to nothing at that point, or 10-3, I think, was the Bengals had a field goal. The goal for the Eagles should be to get to the middle of the second quarter and for the Chiefs to have the ball one or two times. Right. If the Chiefs have the ball multiple times, I think that this game gets really, really fair to the Eagles really quick. And fair by, I mean, like, the right thing happens, which is probably the Chiefs score a bunch of times. So I think more possessions means more of a chance for the Chiefs to win.
When I look at how they have to defend the Eagles as well, assuming that they can put their efforts in to take away the run, slow it down enough so it does force the ball into Jalen Hurts' hands and he has to throw it, and not breaking the pocket, long situations, etc. It feels like that this team, maybe more than years past, in having all the rookies in the secondary, is actually in a good spot to not be intimidated by the likes of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And like you said, there's probably not a third weapon at the wide receiver spot that you're terribly concerned about, and you'll take your chances with Goddard. So for me, it becomes about, do you take the time to adjust your defense to actually bracket Brown and try to take him away top and bottom? And do you do that with Snead, or would you rather see one of the rookies on it?
I do think Snead is a good player for Goddard and for A.J. Brown. But, the reason they drafted long corners like Williams and like Watson is for guys like A.J. Brown, right? They were getting beat up. And granted, Watson gave up the couple big guy throws to T. Higgins in the title game, but he's fighting out there. He's in position. But, McDuffie, his value is that he can be inside, outside, and he can be inside against quicker slot guys like Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins. And, when Snead used to struggle inside against quicker, shiftier slot players, they didn't have an answer there. Now they have one. And so Snead, I think, plays inside against Goddard when appropriate. I think McDuffie plays inside against, the skinnier wide receivers like Smith when appropriate. And I think that they have the rookies to battle on the outside. Will they win every rep? No. I think A.J. Brown, Chiefs have given up a lot of yards to number one receivers this year. That's certainly a change. When, early, Spagnuolo defense is 19-20. The Chiefs were one of the best teams in the NFL against wide receivers. Now it's not as good there, but I think they're qualitatively they match up really well against the Eagles.
I think one of the biggest lines, or the most important lines that I see out there from some of the betting houses, is 80 yards and a touchdown for Brown. I feel that that's a recipe for success. If that's the limitation of A.J. Brown's impact on this ballgame, I think the Chiefs win that pretty much going away at that point. Do you agree?
Oh, for sure. I think that if those are the median outcomes, and that's actually a good outcome for a number one receiver in the NFL, if you look at the average, they're absolutely winning this game. I think that the player that can't kill them, I think, is Devontae Smith. Like, that to me is I think that is a big one where if Devontae Smith hurts them, then they'll be in trouble. But I don't think AJ Brown, unless he goes for like 200 yards, I think passes to Brown will be fine for the Chiefs.
Okay. We're not going to get into specific predictions, but we are recording this after the MVP is being announced. Patrick wins it for the season. I feel like there's an MVP performance in this game for him as well. That would be 2 times where he's won the Super Bowl MVP. Is that, at your point, in your opinion, is that where we're starting to talk about comparisons to New England? Is this setting up a dynasty if they get this win and he has that kind of performance?
Yeah, it's always hard, right? Because when you look at like Ben Roethlisberger made 3 Super Bowls in his first few years and then never made one the second half of his career. Aaron Rodgers, similarly. You go down the list, right? It isn't as, second half of the career, everybody's like, oh, this Packers team's going to win everything. And then they don't even make it back, right? And so that is really tough, but this team getting over the hump of the rookie contract, putting a great team around Patrick Mahomes, I think feels different. Like, I do think that if he wins this one, and if they don't win this one, I still feel fairly, strong in this idea that they're gonna win a bunch more. But it does feel like, if he wins this one, I think you can realistically say, okay, they've done it with him on a rookie deal. They've done it with him on a veteran deal. This team's built to last.
I think that's really what it comes down to. Okay, so no direct prediction, but just gut feeling today. Do you think they pull this off? Is this another championship, or do they come away short?
I think there are more paths to the Chiefs winning this game. I respect the betting markets a lot, and especially in a game like this where there's a ton of liquidity. You really do have to be worried a little bit sometimes with, when the market thinks that you're an underdog. But my goodness, guys, like we're only going to get so many opportunities to bet Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. So if you can do it,
go for it. He is Eric Eager over from Sumer Sports. You can check out their podcast. You can check out their site and see what Eric's doing. And don't miss, of course, the Twitter feed. Eric, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun, and go Chiefs.